The movie starts with what seems to be a preparation for a wedding. Well, yes, it is a preparation for a wedding. And there's a bride calling many people, but no one seems to answer. Then a guy says, "Sweetie, it's Vegas, you lose track of time on the casinos." So now we know there's gonna be a Vegas thing or something. Then a stylish beaten up guy named Phil calls the bride in the middle of a desert and says they can't find Doug. The woman, whose name is Tracy, freaks out because she and Doug are getting married in a couple of hours. And all of a sudden, boom! The title of the movie appears. What the hell did it happen? Who knows? But now we travel back through time to 2 days ago and find a guy about to be harassed. In fact, not. He's just mad because the stylist is too close to his masculine member, so then the guy calls the stylist a pervert. Turns out the guy's name is Alan and he's the brother of the bride. He talks to the future to be missing Doug about a bachelor party in Las Vegas, then he shows his butt. Who's the pervert now, eh? Anyway, Alan says to Doug that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, even if that means killing somebody, then shows off his butt again. So now we know he means it. A moment later, Tracy comes in. Doug says he doesn't have to do shit that crazy trip to Las Vegas because the wedding is within 2 days, but the bride says, "Go and have fun, it's just one night." What could possibly go wrong? Well, maybe Alan French kissing his dog, you pervert. But before that, Sid, who is Tracy and Alan's father, shows a cool car to Doug and says he will give it to him for the trip to Las Vegas because why not? It's just one night, isn't it? Then Sid too says what happens in Las Vegas stays in Vegas. So Doug says, "Ah." And suddenly a school. And we find Phil, who is the guy calling Tracy from the desert, and we discover he's a teacher, but teachers don't earn enough, so he steals the kids' money that was supposed to be used for a school trip. Meanwhile, Alan and Doug are waiting outside for Phil, but Alan says he can't get near schools or Chuck E. Cheese's because he's a pervert, I told you. Then the three of them drive back to look for Stu, a dentist whose girlfriend is a control freak witch. She's worried about Stu making that trip, but Stu says he would never even risk his relationship for a moment of lust. Aww. Now the four are driving and having fun, and then when they stop to fill in gas, we discover that the control freak witch who Stu dates once cheated on him, but it doesn't matter because Alan is reading a book on how to win at blackjack and they're gonna be rich, so who cares about that evil witch? Stu, who cares? Not me. At the reception, Phil asks for an expensive villa and wow, it looks fantastic, but Stu didn't want to pay for it because her girlfriend always checks the credit card, and come on Stu, she's a control freak. But Stu is so naive, he wants to propose to Melissa as soon as they arrive at Doug's wedding. Seriously? Anyway, the group goes up to the hotel roof, locks the door with a brick so they don't get trapped, and then they all make a cheers with Jägermeister. Then Phil says once again another "what happens in Las Vegas" kind of speech, and everyone's so determined to go out of their head and have fun, but will it actually happen? Absolutely. Next thing we know, they wake up drunk and naked in their room and no one remembers a goddamn thing, but Stu is missing a tooth and Alan finds a goddamn tiger in the bathroom. Phil laughs, but where the hell is Doug? He's missing, like Stu's tooth. Maybe they'll find him here. What? There's a baby too? That's even worse than the tiger. So Alan takes it and calls it Carlos. They are having breakfast or lunch, who knows. When Alan finds Stu's tooth in his pocket, so everyone looks at their pockets to find any clue to know what the hell happened last night. Now they're acting like detectives and everything. Cool. Phil realizes that he's been in hospital because he's a hospital wrist or something. So now that they're there, go ask the doctor for information, but before that, they find Doug's mattress in a statue. Pretty awesome. Then the valet Parker arrives with a police car because now they're real detectives, remember? Actually not, they stole it last night and don't remember about it. At the hospital, the doctor says that according to the analysis, they've been drugged with something called Rufilin or roofies without their consentment, so that's why they don't remember anything. Anyway, the doctor says they arrived from a wedding at the best little chapel, so they go there and Eddie laughs. Who's Eddie? No one knows, but Eddie knows the guys and we discover that the wedding they came from was in fact Stu's wedding. Finally, Stu, you're getting your life together. Congratulations. Wow, beautiful girl. They found out her name is Jade and also get her address. So they think, okay, let's go to this woman's house. So we find her and ask her where Doug is and everything. Great plan, although Stu is all nervous and mad, so he breaks things. Man, relax already! But how can you relax when all of a sudden two guys with guns and baseball bats start smashing the police car? I don't know, I couldn't relax either. So Eddie gets shot, the three guys escape and go to a motel to find Stu's wife, who happens to be the baby's mother. Then Jade kisses Stu but says she doesn't know where Doug could be. But the police breaks in, oh god, and takes them all to prison. So Phil calls Tracy from the police station and lies about getting comped an extra night at the hotel, so they have an excuse to have more time to find Doug. A minute later, the policeman says they found Sid's borrowed Mercedes, which is great, but also the policemen were the owners of the stolen car, and they're so angry. So Phil works out a deal so they can let them go. The deal is receiving electroshocks from kids who are on a school trip. So there's pain and laugh, and deal sealed, no more grudges. Now they go to find their car, and the good news is that it's still intact. Sure, it had a condom inside and a naked Chinese guy in their trunk, but hey, the car was still intact. Well, the Chinese guy runs away and Alan confesses he was the one who put drugs on the Jägermeister. He says he told them it was ecstasy, not Roof Island, and that he thought it would be a great idea to drug them all without their previous approval. Great, Alan, first you're kissing dogs and now this. So Stu and Alan argue, and then Phil says they should calm down and go back to their hotel. But who's in the room? You guessed it, Mike Tyson singing In the Air Tonight. You know, Las Vegas. Then he punches Alan in the face. Remember the tiger? Well, it was Mike's pet, so he's annoyed that 4 idiots took it away from his house. Yes, they stole a tiger and didn't die trying because, you know, Las Vegas. Then Tyson's bodyguard says he found them because one of the guys left his jacket on the tiger's cage. The jacket had the room key and blah blah blah, you figure out the rest. What's important here is that the jacket belongs to Doug. Good, so maybe there'll be a clue about Doug at Tyson's house. Tyson accepts to let them in because he wants his tiger back, and by that he means them bringing it back to him. But how can 3 guys move a tiger across town? I mean, they already did it, but the movie needs to be fun, so they need to figure out a new plan to carry it back. First, they feed the tiger a piece of raw meat containing roofies. Once the tiger is asleep, they cover it with a blanket and carry it to the car. Then they talk about the Halley Comet and when is it going to pass near the Earth, and oh no, the tiger woke up! So they get out of the car and have to pull it all the way to Tyson's mansion. There, Tyson shows them his security cameras. The video cameras caught Doug and the other guys drunk and laughing all the way to the backyard. We also see Alan using Tyson's pool as a toilet and Phil doing, oh come on Phil, I thought Alan was the pervert. Anyway, they leave Tyson's home and decide it is time to call Tracy and tell her the truth, but all of a sudden, pum, they get hit by a bigger car and now Sid's vehicle is destroyed. Then Mr. Chow comes out the car, who happens to be wearing the Chinese naked guy who was inside the truck, but this time he's wearing clothes. He says he wants his purse back. Purse? What purse? The thing is, they all met at a craps table last night and Alan won $80,000. Alan put the chips in the Chinese guy's purse and then took them away from him. Then Phil kidnapped Mr. Chow, claiming he was his lucky charm. Ha ha ha, so funny, they all laugh, including Mr. Chow. But in fact, Mr. Chow is mad and says he wants his 80 grand, otherwise he will kill their friend. Oh no way, so Doug has been with Mr. Chow all this time. Now the guys go back to the hotel room to find the bag with the money, but there is nothing. So what are they gonna do? They'll use the power of knowledge. Because Alan finds his blackjack books, so then they dress cool and all that stuff and go to gamble all the money that they have left. Then there's a scene with Alan doing math on his head and Stu is with his wife and they enter the game so they can help Alan with his card counting strategy, and a Wolf Mother song comes out and there's attention and fun and people approach to see Alan's big streak and everything great but they realize the pit boss is watching, so when he's about to stop the game, Jade falls on purposely so she distracts him and Alan runs away. Wow, that was a quick solution. They made $82,400 in total, and they're over the clouds and Alan starts singing. Then they stop in the middle of the desert to trade the money for Doug, but when Alan's getting out of the car, he falls and Mr. Chow laughs again. Then they give the money to Mr. Chow and then he takes Doug out, but when they take the bag out of his head, they realize it is not Doug. You guessed it, it's Mike Tyson singing In the Air Tonight. Kidding, it's Doug, but it's a different Doug. Turns out that Doug is a drug dealer who sold the Roof Island to Alan. Phil wants the money back, but Mr. Chow does this, so he is not planning to give it back. Next scene goes back to the beginning of the movie with Phil calling Tracy to tell her they won't arrive at the wedding because Doug lost and, well, you already know the deal. Meanwhile, the drug dealer realizes that he had mixed the bags up when selling the drugs to Alan. He sold him Roof Island by mistake, thinking he was giving him ecstasy. Best dealer in the world. Then Doug wonders why people call that drug roofie if effects are so powerful that make you end up on the floor instead of the roof. And now you might say, haha, well, why did you mention that? Who cares? Well, it does matter because that word rings a bell in Stu's head. He tackles Phil down and interferes with the call, tells Tracy that Phil was joking around and that they're on their way to the wedding. Stu, what the hell? Oh no, but Stu is right. He realized Doug has been trapped in the hotel roof all this time. They carried him with the mattress and everything so he would wake up on the roof as a joke. Then he probably found himself trapped, so he threw the mattress over the building to signal someone to come help him. They hurry to the hotel's roof, and who do they find there? Mike Tyson Doug. The real Doug, not the Doug dealer Doug. The other Doug. The guy they were looking for the entire movie? Yes, that's their Doug. Yes, he's alive. So, time to move back home, but before that, we get an emotional scene where Stu says goodbye to Jade. There we discover that Stu took away his own tooth because of a bet with Alan where Alan said Stu wasn't good enough dentist to take out his own tooth. Nice. But still, Stu promises Jade he will come back for her next week and have dinner and everything, which is nice and almost made me cry. Then they drive back and Doug tells them he's carrying the original purse with the original 80 grand, and they celebrate and buy tuxedos in the middle of the route, then stop to put them on. Tracy is disappointed because she feels Doug's not gonna arrive at the wedding, but bam! The four dashed into the living room and then the ceremony begins. Tracy walks in with his dad, then Doug apologizes to Sid for arriving late, but Sid says, Vegas. So everything's cool, I guess. Then Doug apologizes to Tracy and promises he will never ever put her through a situation like that again. So Tracy buys into what he's saying and she smiles and takes his hand. I mean, come on, Tracy, you changed your mind just like that? Well, I guess it's the power of love. Or maybe because you're a monster like Stu's girlfriend. Talking about her, then there's a scene where Stu faces her and pours her feelings down and then gets rid of her because she's a witch who slept with a bartender. Yay! Then he goes dancing, but wait, what about Car? Now it is the time for Doug to face Sid and tell him the truth. But when he's about to speak, Sid tells him that the car is a wedding gift, so yeah, problem solved. Finally, we find Phil, Stu, and Doug gathering in the backyard, and then Alan approaches with a digital camera. Then he says it's full of photographs taken during their crazy night. So Doug says something like, let's see the pictures just once, and then delete the evidence. And the movie ends with some funny takes with Mr. Chow and Jade and Tyson and the tiger all high as the sun, drunk to the core. Beautiful.